You see, one of the things I share with people all of the time is that your financial destiny can't be better than your financial decisions.
You hear that? It all starts from the decision, I
Yeah.
believe. Yeah.
And then the quality of your financial decision can never be superior to the quality of your financial information.
What up, people? This is your boy Ike Man, and this is Successful Mogul Podcast. And what we're doing this podcast is to help entrepreneurs understand the clues in the industry for you to become successful. It's really important to understand that winners know what works, and we're creating this platform just so you guys can hear winners like this talk about some of the tips, tricks that they use in the industry to make their money grow. I have a friend in the house, is a friend and a brother, and it's crazy because we're from the same place. And when I'm in the same place, from the same country, and just tell me what's up, brother. How you doing, man?
Good to see you, Ike, man. Thank you for having me.
Tell me. How would you like people to know you?
All right. My name is Oladipupo Clements. I'm a trusted wealth expert. I'm very passionate about seeing people create and retain their wealth. And I've been in the game for well over 20 years. And I'm also the CEO of LifePage in Nigeria and, of course, LifePage in the US. And so that's the bit I can say for now.
Okay, awesome. Before I get into what you do and how you really help people, is there a way they can call you? Do they call you Laddie? Do they call you Clement or what? Because I know that when it has to do with football, benga, they start going gebenga.
So I love for people to just call me OC. Makes it easy.
Awesome. So
OC,
you're OC, but not OCD, just OC. All right, tell me, brother. So what is it that you really help people achieve? And I mean, what kind of experience or results do you get for them?
All right. Like I said, literally everything that we do in our organizations is centered around this singular purpose, helping people create and retain their wealth. And I had my background in investment banking back in Nigeria, and much of the instruments we use in helping people create wealth was largely stock markets, portfolio management, funds management, and the rest of it. But as time went on, I realized that real estate, particularly back home in Nigeria, is one of the most reliable vehicles for not only creating wealth, but also preserving wealth. Once you get, if time permits us, we'll get into how to secure your property back home in Nigeria. And because I've been there, Nigeria is quite an unstructured environment and too many things can appear really unpredictable. But if you have someone who understands the ropes, who knows buttons to press and steps to take, right, and who also have a system backing what they do, then you're safe, right? So helping people create and retain wealth, for us, primarily through real estate investments. That's how we do it. We also do that also by way of educating people. If you know better, you do better. Okay, so knowledge is so powerful, especially in an environment where not many people place priority on information, right? Of course, the tides are changing now, right? But we also educate people. We host a lot of financial freedom master classes. We do wealth summits. We do all sorts of programs. We also train people who want to also play in the real estate space back home in Nigeria. The truth is that a lot of guys in the industry are products of our organization. Yeah, we've done quite a lot. Even people who have gone into other types of businesses, because the principles of business, there are sector-specific, industry-specific knowledge, but there are also general principles that undergirds the way every business operates. So essentially, those who have gone into other types of businesses, some have interned with us and are doing billions in Nigerian naira anyway. So
did you just say billions?
Billions in Nigerian naira. Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
just kind of give perspective.
Yes,
billions means according to the current market rate right now, you're talking about 700 naira to a million.
715 naira to a dollar.
715 naira to a dollar. So
Yeah.
what that simply means is a billion divided by 700,
Yeah.
which comes up to, I don't know what the math is right now. Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
cool.
that should be some 1.5
Million.
less than $2 million. Yeah.
Gotcha, which is still a lot of money in Africa,
absolutely.
especially when you look at the per capita income of an average Nigeria, how much a dollar can take them. Unlike here, the dollar is nothing. People work for $100 a month as income and wages, and yet they feed a whole family with it. So
back home in Nigeria.
So having 1.something million naira,
Million
dollars, is a lot of money.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Part of what I do is I try to play devil's advocate, because devil's advocate simply means we know the people that we bring on, on this platform, and of course they are vetted. People don't like the sound of vetting, but of course they have to be vetted, because if you're not winning in your game, this is a Successful Moguls podcast. But I try as best as possible to ask a lot of questions on behalf of the audience. So, what is your story? Why real estate? Where did it start from? Did you have somebody in your family who started this? I mean, why real estate?
All right. So thank you very much for that question. I was born in an average family. My parents were neither rich nor poor, but I had more memories of poverty, lack, and hardship. It's not peculiar to me. Majority of Nigerians my age weren't born with silver spoons. In fact, some of us weren't born with any spoon at all. So, but I at a point in my life, I started to observe that some people had enough to care for their children. Why was it different from my family? Not that my parents weren't hardworking parents. They were very hardworking, and they wanted the very best for their children. As a matter of fact, I went to a private school, growing up, but they couldn't keep up. So that created some degree of curiosity and hunger inside of me. And I started searching for knowledge. It may interest you to know that even my high school, I borrowed money to write my final exam from a classmate. So not from the parents, from the classmate.
Typical African story.
Yeah. So, and
I mean, not to cut you short, it's just different, because the will for us to want to go to school is way higher than out here. And that's one thing I realized is a huge difference. Like, we will borrow to go to school. I had classmates back in school that's all they had to do was just be in school. As long as school was in session, they had friendship, they had a community, they had food, they had some dependency. But immediately the holidays came, they don't want to go back home, because school was the only place that they could blossom.
Absolutely.
But back home, reality is real. Okay, sorry for cutting you short, but keep going with your story.
So that pretty much was my experience, and that drove me to back to the same so-called information. You see, one of the things I share with people all of the time is that your financial destiny can't be better than your financial decisions.
Say that again.
Your financial destiny cannot be better than the quality of your financial decisions.
You hear that? It all starts from the decision, I believe.
Yeah. And then the quality of your financial decision can never be superior to the quality of your financial information. So I knew I needed to jumpstart my understanding of both parents were entrepreneurs, but sole proprietors. There wasn't any kind of system around the business.
It was mainly survival.
It was just built for survival. I knew there had to be more, because those who took good care of their children, who were my mates, didn't have a business, but they had a job. So how come somebody who owned a job and hired people, was in and out of resources? So I wanted to crack that code, and of course, my access to a great mentor of mine,
there has to be somebody.
Oh, no, absolutely.
There has to be somebody.
And it's one of the greatest thing that ever happened to me. In fact, I say it all of the time. One of my greatest assets is my relationships.
Gotcha.
My network is one of the greatest. So, and decided by attending seminars.
Who's this?
Dr. Lumide Emmanuel.
Gotcha. Never heard of him, though.
In Africa, is very well known. And so, I mean, this was the man who, I remember the first lecture he delivered that caught my attention was developing a reading culture. All I knew about reading was to pass an exam. I didn't know that when your school is over, then another life you need to study for begins. And a lot of people don't stop reading after they graduate. And that was
Graduate
it.
means after college.
After college, absolutely. Yeah,
When you say graduate here,
I
you can
understand.
graduate from high school or middle school.
All right,
even after a college degree,
you
means there's
still
still a whole
require.
life ahead
Oh,
of you.
absolutely,
Awesome.
absolutely. So that was what stirred me up, stirred my hunger up, and we've been at it. Now we have produced other people as well.
I mean, I'm really, really curious about how this one being or you coming in contact with a human being shifted your whole mindset and the journey that you went through with him. How long was this like?
Oh, it's been February made it exactly 22 years. I came in contact with him.
Oh.
I need to say it here. One of the books that I read, was a book by John Mason. I'm sure you probably heard about John Mason. The title of the book is Why Ask Why? And in that book, I saw very powerful quotes that I still use till tomorrow. And it's still one of my core principles. You are the same person 5 years from now, except for two things: the books you read and the company you keep. The books you read. I mean, I can tell what your 5 years, 10 years from now would look like. Let me just see who you are mingling with now, and let me see what you are consuming.
Yeah.
I can predict what your 5 years from now.
I mean, there's a way we say it out here, which is your net worth is your net worth.
Yeah. So that's pretty much what changed it for me.
Awesome. So how did this journey start? What did you start out with?
Okay.
Were you selling...
I started out...
Were you selling potato across the street?
Interesting. I actually started selling. I've been selling. I've been in the sales career all my life. And I do not think anything else could have prepared me for entrepreneurship like sales. Right? I used to be a very shy person, used to be a very timid person. I could hardly look into people's eyes, let alone speak to crowd. I mean, today I've had to host events where I gather thousands, 3,000, 2,000, like that. Okay, so I started by hawking books. That's the way I call it. I like to go really raw on that because I literally go from place to place hawking books. I mean, we didn't have all the systems we now have to sell books. And the first set of books I started selling was books published by my mentor.
Oh, gotcha.
So I went from place to place. And I remember a particular experience I had where one of the schools, Ivy League schools, we call them in Nigeria.
Yeah. They're called Ivy League schools here too.
Yeah. So, and I entered into the compound of the school. And I recall a woman asked me, "So how can we help you, young man?" And I said, "I've got some motivational books." And then she said, "What's motivational about the books?" and walked me out, And you would have thought that I would go back home, but I went to the next school. After that,
objections is never the road to getting a sale.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, and that experience preceded any sales training I ever had. So I knew that came from somewhere, but I can't trace it to any particular, sales training like we do today, other kinds of coaching like we do today, So that's where I started from, and then from there, I've done quite a number of. I started quite a few businesses that didn't work.
You mind sharing a few?
Oh, why not? I started a media business. I started a travel and tour business. I started a food business.
Food, like a restaurant, or food like...
raw food.
So packaging?
Yeah, just package the food and free deliveries to people's homes.
Gotcha.
But of course, I don't want to go into the limitations and the
logistics nightmare.
The logistic nightmares that we had to deal with. Of course, the business wasn't well thought out. We didn't think out the plan well. So all of this had impact on the business. I also went into some kind of network marketing, selling fuel treatments. That was also another business failure. I went into communications, these recharge cards we talk about back home in Nigeria. Those early days, when the GSM just came into Nigeria, I did a bit of it. I started it with a friend, and we saw the end of the business. The business did not see the end of us. I think that's still a testimony to share today. So, but
at what point did you transition to real estate, and why did you choose real estate as the fast track?
Excellent. Very good question. And I love this part. That particular year, I got really frustrated because my work ethic is crazy. I am a jackie, like we call it back home. I work very hard.
Jack of all trades?
Not jack of all trades.
Just a hard worker.
I'm
until the work. I have a coin word for you. You are a hardaholic. Not a workaholic, a hardaholic.
Until I see the end of the task, I don't feel fulfilled for the day. So, we put in so much work. Of course, our business back home in Nigeria, we started by bootstrapping, no dime to our name and all of that. We only started with a sheer conviction that this is our purpose, this is what we're supposed to do. But the business wasn't yielding any results. It was yielding results, but not to our expectation.
Gotcha.
So I recall I took time off work to go reflect. And this speaks a lot to entrepreneurs. From time to time, every entrepreneur must step out of the business to view the business from the perspective of an outsider.
Gotcha.
What you see is different from how you see. What you see is perception. How you see is perspective.
Because you can love what don't love you back.
Exactly.
You can fall in love with what don't love you back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I took time to really go reflect and ask myself 3 important questions. 1, why do we even start a business? 2, which of the products and services, because we're into so many things that we're not really in line with our purpose.
Yeah.
And it came down to just 3 items, things that were in line with our purpose. And the third question I asked myself during the retreat, when Maria was talking about the fact that she'd been to Johannesburg, I said,
gotcha.
Johannesburg was where I had that experience. That was where I went for my personal retreat.
Gotcha.
To go reflect on how to take the business to the next level. And the third question was, which of the services we were rendering at the time, which of the products and services was giving us our highest results?
Yeah.
And it came down to just those 3 items, 3 things. And real estate was one of them.
So what are the 3 things, and why real estate? Sorry.
All right. Real estate. I mentioned earlier, the purpose of our business has been, will always be, to help people create and retain wealth.
Yeah, you said these 3 things. What were the 3 major things? Yeah, sorry.
It was basically consulting, training, empowerment, and all of those things.
Yeah.
And all of that, you can summarize that into human capital development of some sort.
Yeah.
And then real estate, and of course, investments.
Gotcha.
You get. So those were the 3 things, and we said, let's just narrow. And it will amaze you that within the space of 3 months, right, from the moment I returned from that trip, our business grew by over 400%.
Now, I like the fact that we talk about growth, and a lot of times people do not understand that failure is part of growth. So one of the things that you shared is you've tried a whole bunch of stuff.
That didn't work.
You've been all over the place. You did not move with intent. It wasn't in line with what your real goals were at that point in time, and you chose these 3, and you had a huge growth. Everybody likes to celebrate the growth, but what were the core things that you saw in these businesses in terms of patterns that you thought could fit into where you wanted to go?
All right. So I knew that if I was going to help people create wealth, I have to have found a vehicle that's helping me, right? Or that will help me at the time.
Gotcha.
Right? And so much of the research I had done prior to that time revealed that residential real estate development was one major one. Just having a portfolio of real estate assets, right, because the truth is, in spite of the devaluation of Nigerian naira, in spite of inflation, real estate is one of the biggest places
Even globally, even here.
to hedge against all of these factors.
So when you got back from South Africa, at this point in time, what was your portfolio like in terms of money? Well, the reason why I'm asking is a lot of people feel like they can get into real estate with $2.
Oh,
so were you a miracle performer? Did you get like a hard money lender?
Interesting.
Like, how did you get started in real estate?
Interesting. The truth of the matter was, we started in real estate by selling for others.
Okay. So you didn't have to be the prophet. You just had to take people to the products.
Yes.
Learn the market, made a lot of money from that, then started building.
Yeah. So that was pretty much how we did it.
Awesome.
Yeah. And it's still a veritable way to go into real estate. I tell people there are 4 ways by which you can play in the real estate market. Right. Back home in Nigeria, which is where I understand well, you can either be a regulator, right, work in partnership with government agencies, by way of setting up associations and then, inspectorates services for government agencies and all of those things. You can even render legal services for government agencies to track people who are doing what. Number 2 is by way of being an investor, and everybody got to be an investor, really, if you want to create wealth. Number 3 is by way of being a developer, which by far is the most expensive way. You got to have deep pockets to be able to go as a developer. And we knew our limitations at the time. And
limitation being cash. You had an idea about cash.
Yes, we had cash limitation by way of cash. Right. And so
what's so crazy? I mean, I know I'm gonna cut you short for a second. What's so crazy is people do not understand how much they can springboard their success just by being affiliates. And because when you're an affiliate, what do? First, you have a good product that works, is vetted or understood by you. You put it in a market space. Now you can deliver on the product, but you don't have to fulfill.
Absolutely.
And you make a commission off of that. And most affiliate commissions can go from 5 all the way to 50% sometimes.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money for you not to own the product and still walk away with a chunk.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, by being a realtor in the real estate space is by far the cheapest way to play in the market.
But I'm going to say this, which I see a lot of people, because a lot of people call themselves agents or whatever, land agents back home. First, how, we're going to get back to where you were, but how do they, if people want to survive that way or springboard their income that way, like I said, how do they know the guys that will fulfill? Because you see, out here, we have systems that can track my efforts. Sometimes the buyers don't buy instantly. I might bring in a customer. The customer don't buy until after 6 months. I put in all the hard work. And I also know that in Africa, you can work for some one-man buddies, and sometimes to get your money is a hell of a problem. But how did you navigate through that space and be sure that you could get paid for the amount of work that you're putting into someone else's portfolio?
Okay, so first things first, we had to have one-on-one engagements with the owner or owners of the businesses we were working with at the time, and we had a deal. So there were clear agreements and what to expect. And also we're dealing with an organization that already had antecedents.
A
track record of delivering on promise. Okay, so that was all we needed, right?
Did you get any type of training, or you already had training?
There wasn't any form of systems in place around that, which were the things that we brought into the industry when we came in full force, because we started to observe and identify the gaps. One of the beautiful things about marketing and selling for others is that it helps you to understand the needs of the market, identify the gaps.
Since you had the closer ears to the market.
Exactly. Yeah. And so when we're building product, because a lot of times people go into business to create products and then start looking for customer. That's a wrong formula. You're actually supposed to identify the customer, understand their needs, and then design a product that fits or meets those needs.
I mean, it's so crazy because me and Ariel were talking, I can't remember, I think this morning or yesterday, And I just said it. One of the, I can't remember who said this. I think it's Dan Locke. That people don't buy because they understand. That people buy because they feel understood. So
Very true.
what you're saying, just to piggyback off what you're saying, is when you understand the market and you understand the pain of the market, it's easy to sell to that market because they feel like you've thought about their situation, you know their pain points, you know what their desires are. So when you open up your mouth, it's easy for them to trust you as somebody who has already put in a kind of a form of thought process into whatever pain they're going through.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Keep going, sir.
Because again, the purpose of business, while it is to create customer, while the purpose of a business is to create a customer, is actually not just create a customer, it's to create satisfied customers.
Yeah, but what then happens when people just think about the money first?
Well, that's actually the misplacement of priority.
Gotcha.
If you get this other right, money flows. Money is just a consequence of having satisfied customers, basically.
Which means chase after excellence, and success will chase after you.
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
That's the way it works.
Yeah.
That's the way it works. Yeah.
So how did you? So now that you had these track records, you already knew what the companies were, and you knew that they were definitely going to pay. What was your sales like? Because now this was high tickets. Was it easy for you to just jump in? Because you said in 3 months. That's a short time for you to nail it that good. So
okay, by the time I was talking about 3 months sharp growth, we had started ours.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
You get my point. So
awesome.
We had started our own. We had started our own.
So what was the difference between when you were selling for somebody and I just want to know what information did you get? What realization? At what points did you notice these two elements that changed the gap? Because success can be sudden, which you know, but it's not really sudden if you want to look back at all the failures and all the learning process. Then one thing, it could be that one person that you meet, it could be that one information that you flicked, and everything just starts rushing in.
I can tell you what changed for us was actually on my trip back to Nigeria from Johannesburg. I would never forget OR Tambo, 2013.
OR Tambo is the name of the airport for
Yeah.
those who don't know.
OR Tambo International Airport
in
at
Johannesburg.
Yeah.
Yes, I want to hear the story.
I remember seeing a particular massive billboard, and it was written there, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. I'd never seen it before until that moment. And I did not write it down. It registered in my soul.
The power of words.
And I pondered on that till I arrived back in Nigeria. That was the key. It may interest you to know that what we pioneered was as a result of that simple quote.
So what's this thing that you now?
We created a system. We created what we call you called it affiliate marketing. We called it network marketing, more or less like
the first network marketing, right? Yeah.
We created a multi-level marketing in real estate in Nigeria.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Yeah, of course. Today, several people now do the same.
How does that work?
Wow, it's just on the principle of your net worth can be better than your network, right? So you can leverage your network to access cash. Period.
Gotcha.
So that was pretty much, it was essentially a referral system. The mindset a lot of people have, an experience that some people have had of multi-level marketing is so warped that sometimes people don't just want to hear about it. So people compare network marketing sometimes to Ponzi schemes, but they are entirely different.
Yeah, back in Africa, because there's really no regulation, most of the network marketing has definitely become a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you this. Most of the people that I meet in the industry right now, fellow coaches, great salespeople, you'll be shocked to know that they all started from multi-level.
It provides you some of the best trainings, some of the best exposure to real leadership, raw leadership. Where you basically turn ordinary people into extraordinary people. So I don't know of any better place that can coach you to be the very best version of yourself, like in network marketing. And so we created a curriculum training module. We have a system where from the moment somebody joins or registers to be a part of our realtors. By the way, we have over 4,000 realtors in this pool, right? Who are beneficiaries of this. Some people have, that's how by which they make their livelihood. Some have gone on to even start their own realtor groups. Some have gone on to start their own real estate businesses. Some people who wanted to go into those kind of businesses back home in Nigeria had to come and, serve, work with us and told us their intent. Some people did not, but still are succeeding, right? So that's pretty much how we've done it.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Now, when you started this, the multi-level marketing, did you at any time use the network that you were growing in the community? Did you use service other people's business? Like, what would you say is your market, or were you selling just your products?
We're just focused on our products.
Okay.
Yeah, that was how we structured it.
Now, when you say your product, what is your product?
Okay, so we have homes.
I'm sorry, I know you, but
no.
I'm asking the questions for people asking.
It makes a lot of sense.
What is he really selling at this point? Is he selling group coaching? Is he selling multi-level? What's your portfolio? Like, what do you sell?
Okay, so 3 key products we sell as a company in Nigeria is homes. So we sell houses.
Or fully built homes.
Built houses.
Gotcha.
And of course, people buy off plan as well.
Yeah.
And then we sell landed properties,
Gotcha.
Which is by far the easiest way, that people can quickly get into real estate.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, some people just say, sorry, I have enough land. I have enough houses.
Mm-hmm.
Can you take money and go do the real estate and then give me a share of the profits?
Investments.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So that's where we came up with our buy to flip, where people can buy, because there are 3 major reasons why people buy land. For example, people buy land to keep as a container of value to hedge against inflation. And some people buy to build. Obviously, nobody builds in the sky, we build on land.
Yeah.
So people buy to build. And number 3, people buy so they can resell later on. And that's by far also a safer and smarter way to actually save your money than buy. So people save their money in land.
Let's talk about this land issue. First and foremost, I've been lucky. Most of the lands that I own back home, I have a system I apply my system. I didn't learn real estate. I just have seen a lot of people fail in it, and I was able to learn how to navigate and move around it. And so far, I can say I've been lucky. First, Africa. I'm not even going to say Nigeria, but let's narrow it down to Nigeria.
Yeah,
buying land in Nigeria is a crazy, crazy, crazy venture.
Yeah.
It's the government, it's the families, it's the community, it's the agents. There is really no system on how to verify free land. And even when it's properly verified as free area, getting the owners is a problem. You get the owners, sometimes you give money to the cousin disappears, and you don't see. Sometimes you buy land from the owners, the community sells you land, the family sells you land, only for you to wake up and they say some of your cousin resold the land because you didn't build on it. It's mind-boggling. I've seen people in your business. I have a friend, which is my best friend, just to be precise. He paid for a land for, I think, 6 or 7 million naira. And I'm telling you, as far back as I want to remember exactly when, 2014 or 2015. He didn't get a dime. He was never allocated the property. He bought it off plan. Never got anything back. Went back. He's been traveling back and forth from the UK. And it's just why people in diaspora are scared to go invest money.
Very true.
With people back home. Oh, they have this nice plan. They look at it on the internet. Everything looks nice. They tell you this is your plot number. You never, ever get access to the plot. One, with their other story, they realized that the man borrowed money from some bank, didn't do what it was supposed to do. CBN came in, and there's this new law where CBN takes the whole land back.
Through AMCON. Yeah.
Through AMCON or whatever, some regulatory body. Now, this dude don't know who AMCON is, and this guy said, I don't even have land. Okay, what do you do? Oh, we just got to go to court. And there's no court. It's just been police case back and forth. No justice. So how do people navigate in a system that is just callous for people losing money? I can tell you, when it comes to people buying land from abroad, the only land that you truly buy and build freely is your village land. So to be by an uncle or an aunt that is in your family.
Even that.
But even that, if you're not careful, golly.
Right. Okay. So you're actually very spot on. Okay. We were aware of all of these challenges before we went into the market, into the business, and we went in there to address some of these issues, and we are still on it. The industry is better developed, more developed than what it used to be.
You don't think it's just Lagos, Abuja, and Ogun State?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, literally all other states are just following Lagos. And the truth be told, right, it's better now than before.
But it's not best yet.
Or clearly, it's a far cry from what it's supposed to be.
I guess my question is, for those listening, for people like me,
people
like us out here, I don't live out there no more.
Mm-hmm.
How can I invest back home? Because most of us use credits, which is borrowed funds. Mm-hmm. So there's no losing the money. We cannot afford to lose the money.
Absolutely.
We can only go flip money. Mm-hmm. I have a community where I teach people how to definitely get the bank's money. Mm-hmm. And if I need to tie them into investing abroad, I just need you to tell people how their money is secure and why their money is secure. I mean, just some form of assurance.
All right. So 3 things that people must do, particularly if you're buying land, wherever you choose to buy, whether it's in your village, your hometown, whether you're buying in the city. 3 things you must do to secure your landed property. Number 1 is documentation. However archaic or manual the process for verifying a document is still, you must find a way to verify. So documentation is critical. Number 2 is taking possession. So having documentation or having the documents is not sufficient.
Just so you guys know, Africa is one of the only places where having a document doesn't mean anything. Mm-hmm. Like, you can literally have land, they take a picture. Yeah. If you don't go on the land to do something physical, I'm talking about a building, a shed, farming, or whatever. Yeah. You don't have access, so you don't have possession of that land.
Yeah. So taking possession,
or ownership.
Yeah. So taking possession is the second thing that people must do, and by possession we mean at least fence the land and gate it. Right. Number 3 is occupation. Right. So even if you bought the land to keep for future use, or you bought it so you can hedge against inflation or whatever as a container of value, what is critical is that you must take occupation. So by occupation, we mean somebody must be there, either farming, depending on the location, somebody who just take care.
Has your direct contacts to call you.
And then can update you when there is any threat of encroachment.
Yes, which is
right?
what I have anyways.
Those are the kind of things that helps to protect your and secure your landed properties back home in Nigeria. Now, let me say this categorically. Not all developers back home are crooked. We are also victims of the same things that people are running away from.
Of course.
And since you didn't pay for stories, we have to absorb and take full responsibility. And that's why there are different associations, right, that's been created just for developers to be able to express their pains to government. And then government is, we have a conference coming up this next month of October, and we'll be talking on things around this. And these issues are being resolved gradually. Lagos is taking the lead clearly on many grounds. So now we are getting close to that time where you can actually do verification online. So when somebody is selling you a property, even if they present you a document, it's important to also pick the coordinates of that particular property and conduct your own search, right? And the report. So even if it's a real estate company, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right. Even if it's a real estate company that is selling you a property, you want to also verify the root title of that property. In any real estate transaction back home in Nigeria, it's important to always involve a lawyer, right? You see, I say it to everybody who care to listen. Anybody who is uncomfortable with you asking all the questions before you part with your hard-earned funds do not deserve your funds. That's where I see it. So if somebody feels that you're disturbing, I mean, at the point of patronizing and subscribing for a property, please ask all the questions. Ask all the questions. And if you're not comfortable, just tell them.
I mean, my number one, my critical question to you would be, what has LivePage put in place when it comes to verification, allocation, documentation, possession, and guarantee on investments? What have you been able to put in place? Because most of my viewers, I don't know about buying properties in terms of homes. But I know the other two things is what people might want to look at. You know, how to buy and keep, and also how to flip. So, and I know some of these things I just mentioned are the number one problem for people who don't have boots on ground. What have you been able to put in place with your organization that can ensure that's...
So for over 10 years, by the way, LivePage was just 10 years in May.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And for the first 10 years of the business, people kept asking, can't you people help us to sell? And we said it wasn't part of the package. So based on those feedbacks that we realized that quite a lot of people buy the same land with the intention to sell. We created what we called buy to flip. But it's a unique product on its own. So it's not, so if you are buying land, buy land for your own purpose. And then if you're buying to flip.
When you say land, are you talking land in one of your development schemes? Or you're talking about land open, just go
buying land in some of our development schemes. Yes, that's what I mean. Right. So you're either buying the land for your own personal building. Some people buy land because they want to build for their parents. And some people just say, sorry, I'm not back home, but I want to do something that...
So let's divide this right now. So now in your development schemes, and you're saying come buy land. Like I told you, I have a friend who paid like a business like yours. What do you guys have in place to say, okay, I don't want to buy. I just want to buy to keep. I don't want to build. But do I need to come do a fence?
Oh, sure.
Do I need to come all of that?
It's a critical requirement. Anybody who's not interested in doing those three things I said, because even if you have bought within a development scheme, you will be transferring unnecessary risk to us alone, right? If you don't do these three things, as a company, we too fence our land around, right? The entire community. It's quite different from what you find here, right? So sometimes some things that we're saying now looks like, are you sure this?
I guess my question is,
what we have put in place.
Yes, because I want to know this, because for me, if there's a problem where there's trust issue and there's an encroachment issue, and now you have a property that is gated by your community, allocated, you have security on that property and all that, why do I really need to
fence it?
To fence and all of that if I can go by your books? And do you understand? Like, who's going to encroach on my property if it's allocated by you guys, when I understand that you're building within the confines of
a gated
homeowners
community.
association?
Okay, so it's not exactly the same thing that obtains here that obtains back home.
Yes, of course, I know. That's why I'm asking these questions.
So it costs a lot to secure a property. So after you have sold, for example, some of these locations that we're talking about, we have armed police officers. You don't need that here in America,
of course,
right? So we have armed police officers, and it's not for free, right? And so for how long will you keep that compared to the price you sold? And when value of the property appreciates, is anybody going to bear share in that cost, right? So we expect that the objective has to be clear. And so even if it is within an estate, even if it's within any of our development schemes, we still recommend that people do those three things. It's a core requirement for us.
So now my question is, because most of us we don't understand the labor on ground, we don't understand the quality on ground, control on ground, we don't understand the permits on ground. My direct question would be,
do we have any structures in place?
Do you have structures in place to ensure that, now this is my cost for purchasing land, but even for me to purchase the land, we charge an extra 15% of buyer's cost. Why? Because we want to give you, even if it's 4 coaches that goes around your land and all of that, it doesn't have to be necessarily a high fence. But that helps me in knowing that, okay,
The land is
this
secure.
is the general cost that comes at the
Oh, sure.
point of
We
buying.
do have all
and
that.
I don't have to think about getting a
we
laborer
we do have all that. And for most people who buy Nigerians in diaspora who buy property back home, majority also have family members or have acquaintances that they can send. And so what I often recommend most of the time is, sometimes when you do things for people, they think that there must be some extreme profit you are benefiting. So we always encourage, even though it's something we can take off people, we also often encourage people to also send people whose sense of judgment they can trust to also supervise this whole
I mean, the
thing.
reason
So-
why I'm saying this, I feel it would be a great benefit
Mm.
if you can. I don't know what the cost is. I don't know if it's.
Oh, sure, we
rewarding.
do. We have that.
The reason why
We
I'm
have
saying
that.
that is most of our audience live in diaspora.
Mm.
They have an investor's mindset.
Mm.
All they really want to do is put money and let money flip.
Mm.
And don't want to be bothered about the work of having somebody.
Mm.
Unfortunately for you, coming from that market into this market, majority of the people that will listen to this podcast don't have anybody that they can trust back home.
Mm.
So now you become the points person. You become the business that they did business with.
Okay,
So
so
at that point,
so
for this market,
Mm.
I think you have to have a one-stop shop. So
Okay,
that
so-
I'm not worried about 5 years from now. I just want tell me I'm building fences. Show me my fences. You know what I'll construct.
Oh,
because most people do
absolutely.
fences here with wood. You do
Yeah.
fences back home with
Bricks, yeah.
So
yeah,
cement prices changes.
absolutely.
I don't be worried about all of that because once you start putting those layers into what I'm thinking, it's just
I can
won't
imagine-
even do it.
I can imagine.
Anxiety just
Sets in.
description. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you absolutely. The reason we often like to talk about these other parts so that people know they have options, right? You are not under obligation to engage our organization to get this done, but
Yes.
that structure is in place. We've been doing that over the years.
Gotcha.
We've been doing that, yeah.
Awesome.
So from documentation to taking possession of your land and all of this, a requirement to secure your land, even if you are bought within. Again, I mean, you have 120 acres of land, and then somebody, assuming you carry out allocation on first come first served basis, and then because you were one of the very first set of subscribers, you got your allocation, at the, close to the
exits.
exit,
Mm-hmm.
and then you don't take possession, you don't perfect your title, you don't get all these things done, and then it's part of the clause that if you don't take possession, you don't do all these things, you stand a risk of being reallocated. So if you
Okay, now I have to say this.
Yeah.
I really have for this month. I really have to say for real because I know the way it works back home. There's a reason why I never bought any of my land from the estate. First, I can speak the language. 2, I can blend in. 3, I'm a local boy. 4, I just like to buy it at not market price. So, but also the dealings with that, when I start building, I have to pay, which is nothing compared to what I would have paid even when I have a structure. Because just so you guys understand, I'm saying when you build in Africa, you have to pay developmental costs to the community, or the youths of the community will come and destroy your property while you're building. And there's all this risk involved, but we know how to navigate it because I know the locals, I speak the language, I can talk to the chiefs and the community leaders and the youth, and whatever they ask usually is somewhere around $2,000, the most. For a property that I'm investing hundreds of thousands of dollars, that's absolutely nothing. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't want to pay that, but it's like, the way that I look at it is like you are going into business that you're going to make $100,000 and you can't pay $2,000 for a lawyer to protect you because the same youths will protect you. That's just the way it works. It's organized chaos. So, for me, I honestly think that real estate developers back home need to start looking at the possibility of separating all that extra clause. Like, charge me. Our thinking is money works out here. But when we go back home now, money don't work. I don't get it. So there's no changing my allocation because I didn't develop. Now, you didn't develop because I gave you my money. It's part of the buying. That if I'm buying from abroad, you have to have this. So if the plot of land is $10,000 for crying out loud, you're paying extra $10,000, which puts you at $20,000. Why? It's going to do this, it's going to do that, it's going to do that. 6 months it takes to get this, 3 months it takes to get this, in 3 weeks we'll do that. Because I don't want to change my plot number. I don't want to reallocate. I don't want to move.
So Eichmann, can I tell you this?
Yes.
As a result of some of the experiences we've built and had over the years,
yes,
we had to even start selling fenced plots of land.
Thank you.
Just so we can give that level of comfort. But it will still shock you to know that some people still preferred their bare land, even from Nigerians in diaspora. So the psychology, so a property that comes
for me, I don't really think they have the power to control that, because if you don't have a thief's mindset, you should stay within the perimeters of whatever you bought. And if it's properly allocated on paper, and it shows exactly what the coordinates are, this is 2022. Like, you shouldn't have an inch, not even a meter, an inch
into my land
outside, encroaching outside the whatever you bought. And I just think enforcement really has to do with establishments. Like, I feel like Africans, we wait for the government to do so much. But even within our own communities, I feel like we don't have a lot of control. How much more the government having a lot of control over the whole cities and the states? I think it starts from, like, there's so much responsibility at the top, but it starts from the family. These are the family of people that have entrusted you. These are your kids. This is your development. What are you putting in place to ensure that I call you daddy, I call you father? Because if you do me well, then I want to bring in my friends and everything, because I can go to bed. But if I wake up one day and I'm reallocated for a land that I bought in 6 years, because we all know the power of land. Whether I do nothing or I don't do nothing,
it's appreciated.
I shouldn't move because it's appreciated. Now you're taking me all the way to the back that doesn't have as much development, and where the appreciation is not as much as the one in front. Why did I buy first? So that means defeats the whole purpose of first come, first serve.
All right, so let me. I feel you.
It's a pain that we're going through out here.
I feel you.
I just play devil's advocate.
No, it's fine. No. Honestly,
personally, I'm not suffering this, but I see friends who are out here totally disconnected from how it works.
I feel
back
you.
Home.
I feel you, and I understand exactly.
That's a dangerous clause that I would never sign up to. That's just my problem.
Your point of view.
Yes.
But you see, when you signed up to buy a property with the intention to build, but 10 years after you haven't built.
All right, I get that right now. Okay.
So what becomes of that? Who bears the liability for that last 10 years? So each month, if you have to clear that same property, right? Because it becomes a threat to the other person that is developing. So who suffers for that?
I have a thought process.
Yeah. By the way, let me quickly mention that we've gone past this. After 10 years, whatever it is that you've been doing for 10 years, you should have been able to crack a code and develop a system around it.
Yes.
Right. So we've built a system around this. And so whether you want to buy to build, there's a provision. Right. Whether you are buying to keep, there's also a provision. There are requirements that you must meet. And then if you are buying, again, some people are even more concerned about the kind of people that are buying your development, to be sure that, well, they are the kind of people that share in my common interest and philosophy and all of that. So those are critical things that we have put in place. I said all of that as part of our story, as part of our journey.
Gotcha.
We've evolved significantly, right? So there are people who have bought fenced. I mean, we were the first to introduce fenced plot of land.
Gotcha.
I've never heard any development company back home in Nigeria who sold plots of land fenced, because we recognize one of the critical requirements to secure the land. So anybody who buys into that kind of a development knows that the land is secured, right? Yeah, so the entire estate already has general security that is not just peculiar to just personalized, right? So those are some of the things we've put in place.
Now, I want to ask you this, and what's the possibility of because I've always thought about real estate, but I'm saying if I'm going to do real estate, I have to do it big. I don't know if the market allows that. I know absolutely nothing about the market. I buy real estate solely for the purpose of just preserving and hoping to flip in future or whatever. And I've developed the ones that I've developed for personal gains, but nothing commercial. Is it possible to create a system whereby, because the reason why I feel developers only stick on the security level and not even in control in terms of utilities and all of that, charging me. You don't feel the need to charge me because my land is doing absolutely nothing. is because developers don't go as far as developers out here who move in and putting the utility in place. Now, what are the utilities? Not just fencing. We're talking about drainage. We're talking about lights, water, telephone, all of that. So even if it's a fallow land that I'm using for farming, I have access to these. Now, when you do that, prior to when I buy the property or after I bought the property, whatever, it now justifies the reason why you're charging me a base fee to keep up with your maintenance, whether I use the land or I don't use the land. So now I can calculate from my investment and say, okay, if I keep the land fallow, it costs me this amount of money as a base charge, even if I'm not using the utilities. Now, if I use the utilities, it spikes up. But when not being used, this is what it is. So I can put all of that cost, because even if I take money here to run a property development, I still have to factor in the fact that I'm servicing that loan, which is also cost that nobody talks about as a rookie. But if you're doing investment, you realize that those hidden costs are there. So I'm saying, would you be willing to do more, especially for guys in diaspora? Do more so it justifies why you're charging me $300 a month, why you're charging me $100 a month for my fallow land. So I know that, okay, after I purchase this land, this is what it's going to be. And also, what would the penalties be if I don't pay for a long period of time? These are some of the things that I think should hold a better clause than reallocation. Reallocation for me is pandemic, is destructive, is, I don't know. I mean, tell me what your experience has been, because property is crazy.
Interesting. Different strokes for different folks.
Yes.
And you hear some people say they don't mind that, and then you hear another one you say. So it's actually very difficult to satisfy everybody.
Yes.
And so what we've done with some of our developments and most recent development is that we created different developments for different kinds of people. So people like yourself, we have a development within a development for those kind of people. So sorry, if you're buying into this, this is what it is. And it fits into all these your expectations. And then those who say, sorry, I want to handle it. I have a younger brother who can help me handle things for me. And all of that. They don't want you to handle anything, because a lot of times people think that you make a whole lot of funds. Again, when you are putting out a product out there, you're also mindful of the fact that you don't also want, how do I describe this now? You're also mindful of what are the prevailing prices within the area. By the time you add all these extra things to
it goes beyond market price.
It goes beyond market price. So who buys your product?
I mean, the other products don't have enough
value.
No.
I get that part. That's why we have to create different packages so that those who say, sorry, this is what I want and I can handle it myself, then they go that route. And those who say, this is the path I want to follow. So we have those options. Again, for those who say, sorry, I just want to buy for investment purposes. So you can actually buy land and then flip. So we provide, a buyback guarantee.
That's the one I really want to get to. I mean, the other one I was just talking about, holding the land and how destructive that can be sometimes, because a lot of my friends who bought for that purpose have been burnt. I have never been burnt. I've never lost a dime from land.
You told me.
And I call it luck. I call it luck, because it doesn't matter what you know if you don't have boots on ground. And I can just do business over the phone and get lucky. I'm lucky, but.
Because even as a developer, I'm not that lucky. I've not been that lucky.
Exactly.
In 10 years, I can tell you what we have lost to encroachment that we can't even transfer to customers. And I mean, business, everything comes back to integrity.
Yes.
Right? The truest test of integrity is adversity. So you are not yet trusted until you are tested.
Yes.
Right? And we've proven beyond doubt. We've never had any defaults in the last 10 years. And that's something worth talking about, right? In the midst of all the chaos, that we see in Nigeria, we've stayed true to our word. And that, for me, is what's celebrating. Because when I said, even we as developers have not been as lucky as you've been. I mean, we've lost, I don't want to overestimate, we've lost hundreds of millions of naira, to encroachment.
Okay.
Right? So in spite of all the things that we know and the things that we have done and the level of investment that goes into this.
Gotcha.
Right? So, but you do all this also because you don't tell stories. Customers don't buy from you to hear stories,
Of course.
right? They bought from you
Hard-earned money.
hard-earned funds. I mean,
Yes.
when people give you money, they give you trust. What they've given to you is trust, nothing else,
Gotcha.
right? And that's essentially what we have to protect, and that's why we make it plain at the very beginning. So everything that I've said here, there are options and there are routes. But if you are thinking, and it was for these same reasons, particularly Nigerians in diaspora, who are even thinking, oh, sorry, I don't want to buy anything land. But if you can tell me you can help me flip it at a profit.
I really want you to dive into this. For the sake
Yeah.
of time, I really want you to dive into this.
Okay.
How can I make money, or how can you help people make money with landed property or
Yeah.
with homes or whatever? What is the best portfolio you know that is guaranteed
Yeah.
to spit out some cash, and how much are we looking to invest in, and how much are we looking to
Buy
get
to
out?
flip. It's
Buy
our,
to
it's
flip
our
is land.
Yes, buy to flip is a land trading project that we launched. So this way, rather than just buy your land to keep or buy to build, you're buying it with the intention to resell.
Gotcha.
And what we provide you is a buyback guarantee, which means that so if we project that this property, and I mean, over the last 2 years, some of our properties have even risen as high as 200%, 300%
Yeah.
in value,
Yeah.
right? But we can't guarantee that, right? Because of course there will certainly be marketing costs, there will also be maintenance costs, there will be several other costs. So we have to factor all of that into it. And then all we guarantee is that you will not get anything less than 50% profit on your on this buy to flip.
How long is this?
How long do you mean? Okay, 18 months, the duration, 18 months.
18 months.
Yes,
So I buy
50%.
land today, in 18 months, I
So
can
if you
flip my
buy-
cash about 50%.
Yeah, if you buy a parcel of land for say 1,000 square meters for 10 million naira, right?
Which is the current ongoing market rate.
Yeah,
10 million naira, if I'm correct, is pretty much about less than $15,000.
yeah, less than $13,000.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
less than that. So
Hey,
you-
$13,000 is nothing, y'all. $13,000 to get back.
but then again, there are people who will tell you, well, that's a conversation for another day.
Yes.
But if you plug into that, you'll be getting back that money, after we do the flipping at 15 million. So you'll be getting 10 million with 5 million naira profit
Gotcha.
in 18 months, right? And the only reason
Somewhere
why
around $20,000.
yes, and the only reason why we can do that, again, the only reason why we can do that is because it's our business. We trade in lands, we trade in houses.
Gotcha.
You get the point I'm making. So that's pretty much.
So with this, I don't have to be worried about allocation,
So
fencing,
you don't
and all
need
of
to
that.
worry about maintenance, fencing. You don't need to worry about
That's the
documentation.
that's
so
the only-
it takes away, but again, you still make money. And then the other part, which I wanted to push for another date,
Yes.
is the fact that you can actually, for those who are interested, because the threshold for entry into this is way bigger than the regular, and I'll get into that. We'll provide some more information subsequently when people reach out to us. Is the fact that you can actually hedge against inflation and hedge against devaluation. Now, currently, naira against dollar is about 715 naira to a dollar.
Mhm.
In the last 5 years, what has been the
100%. So 200%.
Over 100%.
Over 100%, yes.
So if the next 5 years your dollar, your naira against the dollar is 8,000 or 1,500,
You've lost pretty much all your
you've lost
investment.
pretty much all that you have recouped. So as an investor myself,
Yes.
I'm so conscious of all of these facts, particularly for Nigerians in diaspora. So there's an offer that's coming up soon that you are literally investing in dollars, and you're also getting your
I
money
like the
back,
sound of dollar to dollar.
and you're getting back your returns in dollars.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's I don't want to flip my money, just so you know. Now, I really have to let you go. I want to really bother on two things. Number
Yeah.
one, question before we close, and we're going to talk about his book. He has an amazing book that's selling out right now. You guys, there'll be a link whereby you guys can contact him if you want to invest in real estate in Africa, and also his book. Awesome. He's gonna have to give us something because you can't buy the book at the real price. Just so you know, I'll work something out for you guys. So we'll talk about the Financial Freedom Master Guide Why is this book so important right now? What's the mindset that you want people to get? What's the result that you want people to get out of this? That's number one question. And the second question is, how can they find you?
Wow. I don't think I can summarize this in few minutes, but let me do the best I can. Okay. There are 5 levels in your journey to financial freedom. The first one is financial crisis, and quite a number of people all over the world who are in financial crisis. A lot of people are faking it. A lot of people can package it, but a lot of people are really in financial mess. The second level is financial instability, and this is a point in your life where your take home, like we say in Nigeria, do not necessarily take you home. So your upkeep is far greater than your income. All right. Gotcha. Financial stability is the third level, right? And there are people at these various levels. The third level is financial stability. Financial stability is when you maintain some degree of financial equilibrium, where you can live a life fairly comfortable, but a great majority of the expenses is built around your active income. It means that if you stop working today, you can sustain your lifestyle. But that's also a mediocre life to live. There's also the fourth level, which is the financial independence. Now, for many years, being an investment banker myself, I used to confuse financial independence for financial freedom, but they're entirely different. Financial independence is the point in your life where the proceeds from your investment is capable of meeting your personal and family needs without you having to worry another day. But that's still not the ultimate. Financial freedom is the ultimate, and that's what this book addresses. It's a point in your life where the proceeds from your investments and assets is not only capable of meeting your personal and family needs, but also able to, enable you extend goodness and kindness to others. Gotcha. That's the highest level of fulfillment. You can't find that just by acquiring only, but also extending goodness and kindness. That's what the book does, basically. And it shows you
the blueprint.
So a blueprint. So the book addresses the psychology for creating wealth. Until you change, nothing changes, right? So it addresses the mindset. So the book is broken into 3 parts. The first part is around your mindset, your personal transformation, who you become, impact on a lot of other things, right? And then the second thing addresses the tools, the things you must do, the action points, action steps you must take, and of course the third part addresses the attainment of wealth and freedom. I mean, you want to live the life of your dreams, you want to live on your own terms, then this is the book, particularly for entrepreneurs and business owners. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you guys have heard it all right here. You're first to know. Go get this book. Change your mindset. If you ever want to invest in real estate in Africa, just so you know, this is a brother and a friend. But you know what I do. I put him on the hot seat. So he can tell you guys, answer some of the questions that you want to ask. Hopefully you guys want to reach out to him. I can almost, I hate to use the word guarantee, vet for him and let you know that he's actively in the business. He's one of the great minds out there. He knows exactly what he's doing. If he says you get it, just so you know. Click on the links, talk to him, talk to his people, and good luck. Have a good life.